Hello everyone, myself Harshada Shinde, working in Deccan Education Society's Fergusson College, Pune. In today, we are going to study networking, how the transmission cable is cooperate with the help of one sender to the another receiver. So let's study it out with the help of cablings and the networking terminologies. So let's go for the PPTs. Transmission media. Transmission media are the physical line through which information, which is called as a stream of bits, is transmitted between computers in a network. Transmission media makes transmission of electronic signals possible from one computer to another using binary pulses. So what are the characteristics of the transmission media? There are 6 important characteristics we need to consider. Let's go them one by one. First is the cost of media. Second one is the installation requirement. Third is the bandwidth. Fourth is the band usage, or it is also called as baseband and broadband usage. Fifth one is the attenuation. Sixth one is the immunity from electromagnetic interferences. So let's go for the first characteristics, which is called as the cost of media. One major factor while purchasing any of the network component is its cost. For a new technology, a cost is also more expensive. Decision depends upon the application and the standards of the resources. Second characteristics is the installation requirement. Some transmission media requires skilled labor to install. This increases the cost of the network and it may cause some delay. Before installing, we need to prepare actual physical layout of the network. So these two characteristics are important while purchasing a network. Cost of the media will tell you how the construction depends, and depending on that the construction, the cost is going to be increased. An installation requirement will tell you how much laboring is required to install that network. That is called as the installation requirement. The next characteristics of the transmission media is the bandwidth. Bandwidth is the measure of the capacity of a medium to transmit the data. Bandwidth of a cable is depending on the cable length. A short cable can have a greater bandwidth than a long cable. Fourth characteristics is the band usage. The bandwidth is shared so that a maximum usage is obtained. There are two transmission modes, baseband and broadband. Baseband devotes the entire capacity of a medium to one communication channel, and broadband enables two or more communication channel to share the bandwidth of a communication medium. The fifth important characteristics of a transmission media is attenuation. Attenuation is a measure of how much a signal weakens as it travels through a medium. As signals pass through the medium, part of the signal is absorbed and makes the signal weak. It decides the cable length when the signal strength falls below certain limit. Then at receiving station, noise may appear. The sixth important category is immunity from electromagnetic interference, which is called as EMI. Electromagnetic interference consists of outside electromagnetic noise that distorts the signals in a mechanism. Example of a EMI is called as crosstalk. You'll get a crosstalk when two or more connections are communicating at the same time. That is because of this EMI. So what are the comparisons between this baseband and broadband? There are 5 important points to distinguish between baseband and broadband. Let's go them one by one. Baseband, first point is only one channel is transmitted on the available bandwidth. As compared to the broadband, many channels are transmitted on an available bandwidth. Second point is, in baseband, original information is directly sent online, and in case of broadband, information is modulated and indirectly sent in a different form. In case of baseband, small bandwidth can be used, and in case of the broadband, big bandwidth is required to transmit more channels. In baseband, the examples can be LAN or a telephone line, and as compared to a broadband, the cable TV channel transmission is the best example for the broadband. Twisted wire cable is used in case of baseband and coaxial cable carrier broadband transmissions. So these are the 5 important points you need to distinguish between the baseband and broadband respectively. Now we'll study the transmission media. We have studied the 5 characteristics. Now how we can directly transmit the data? There are 2 important categories. The first category is bounded media and the second category is the unbounded media. So which goes in the category of bounded media, like twisted wires, coaxial cables or fiber optic cables. And the next category is unbounded media, which is radio waves, microwave waves, infrared or many more. So these are the 2 important transmission media categories. First one is the bounded or guided media and second one is the unbounded or wireless media respectively. So let's go for the one by one bounded media. What is the first bounded media is a coaxial cable. It is a special hollow cable with a solid copper or standardized wire at the center of the cable surrounded by plastic foam insulation. The foam is surrounded by wire mesh jacket or metallic foil. The wire mesh avoids EMI. In other words, it is a shielded cable. The outer plastic jackets provide a protection from the damage. There are 2 types of coaxial cables. First one is the thick net, which is called as a thick, hard and expensive cable. And second is thin net, which is called as thin, flexible and expensive cable. So this is a representation of a coaxial cable. It consists of first outer jacket, which is made of plastic. Then it is have a braided shield. Then inside that we have a foil shield like this, silver paper foil. Then we have a dielectric material which is called as a foam. And inside of that we have a center conductor which is actually carrying the signals. What are the advantages now of this coaxial cable? First advantage is it is commonly used in a network because available in a different sizes. Second point is its shielding provides better resistance to EMI. The third advantage of coaxial cable is attenuation is less than a twisted pair cable. The disadvantage of this coaxial cable is first one, it is relatively expensive but less than a fiber optic cable. And second disadvantage is bandwidth capacity is comparatively less than fiber optic cable. We'll go for the next category of cable is twisted pair cable. Twisted pair cable, one or more pair of cable can be twisted between them. So let's study what is the working of this twisted pair cable. In twisted pair cable, one or more pairs of 2 twisted copper wires are used. The twisting reduces the sensitivity of the cable to EMI. This type of cables used in a telephone lines. So this is the representation of a twisted pair cable. It is having a plastic outer jacket. Then it is having inner braided shield. Then we have 2 foil shield respectively for 2 wires. Then we are having actual twisted pairs of 2 cables. So here you can able to see here a twist between these 2 cables. What are the advantages of this twisted pair cable? First advantage is this medium is inexpensive and easy to install. Second advantage is since wires are twisted, it reduces the EMI and also avoids the RF radiations. Third advantage is twisted wires also reduces crosstalk. Now what are the disadvantages of this twisted pair is? They can be used only for short distance communication. Then the twisted pair cable has limited bandwidth for audio telephone. It is 4 kHz and it can be maximum to 50 kHz. The third disadvantage of this is the typical speed of a computer data is 1200, that is 1200 bits per second. So this is the diagrammatic representation of a UTP and a STP twisted pair. So in case of the UTP pair, there is no any shielding you can able to see. And in case of the STP, we can see a shielding between a foil and it's a plastic casing cover. So that is shielding pair present between a twisted pair, and there is no shielding present in case of the UTP pair. Let's go for the third important cable, which is called as a fiber optic cable. The light wave can be efficiently conducted through transparent glass fiber cables, which is known as a optical fiber cables. In communication carried out by optical fiber cable and using the light wave is known as a fiber optic communications. The center conductor of this cable is a fiber that consists of a highly refined glass or plastic. The fiber is coated with a cladding or a gel that reflects the signals back into the fiber to reduce the signal loss. It is designed to transmit light signals with the little loss. A plastic sheet protects the fiber from damage. So you can able to see here, in case of fiber optic cables, we are using a glass and we are using a cladding or a gel to reflect the light. So if you look here, the outer jacket is of plastic, then we have a loose buffer, after that we have a cladding, and then we have inside of that we have a center core, which is a fiber core material present. So this is a comparison between the three cables we have studied: twisted pair, coaxial and fiber optic cables. So let's go for the properties of them one by one. First one is the cost. Twisted pair is inexpensive. Coaxial cable is twice or thrice than twisted pair expensive. And fiber optic cable is expensive, more expensive than both of this twisted pair and coaxial. Second is installation. Twisted pair is easy to install. Coaxial is also easy to install, but fiber optic cable is very difficult to install. For the attenuation, twisted pair is having more attenuation, coaxial cable is having again more attenuation, and fiber optic cable is having very less attenuation. The EMI effect is maximum in case of twisted pair. There is no EMI effect in fiber optic, and there is minimum effect in a coaxial cable. Bandwidth of a twisted pair is 1 to 100 Mbps meter. Then it is 500 Mbps to 100 meters for coaxial cables. It is in gigabits per seconds or in kilometers for fiber optic cable. Signal type of twisted pair is electric. Same for the coaxial, and in case of fiber optic, the signal is the light signals. Now we'll go for the protocols. TCP/IP or the TCP/IP Internet Protocol. These are the set of rules or a standard designed to enable computers to be connected to each other and transfer the information through a network. Internet protocols are called TCP/IP, that is Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol. This protocol do not belong to any one company and the technology is available to the everybody. TCP/IP Internet Protocol uses three types of addresses for network addressing. First, hardware or physical address. It is used by the data link and the physical layers. It is hard-coded into the cards at each device. Second is Internet Protocol address provides logical node identification. This address is unique address assigned by the administrator according to the certain guidelines. It is expressed in 4 parts of dotted notation, like as 123.144.131.12. This is the IP address. Third one is the logical node names, which an administrator can assign, are easier to remember than an IP address. The example of this is barney.com. So this is the IP logical address. Now we'll go for the networking connectivity. To expand a signal network without breaking into a new parts or connecting it to the other networks, some standard connectivity devices are used, which are: first is hub, second one is modems, third one is the repeaters, and fourth one is the routers respectively. So let's study these 4 one by one. First one is the hub. Hub, this is a simple connectivity device used to extend a network. All networks except those who are using coaxial cables require a central junction which is called as a hub. So in this picture, you can easily to recognize if I want to communicate from one PC to the another PC. First, the data is given from one PC to the central hub. Then that central hub will pass data from itself to the next PC. So all the data is cloned or the copy of a data is saved at a central hub. Next one is the modem. Modem means modulator or demodulator. It is used to connect computer to the internet. Modem converts digital data to analog data and vice versa. So if you look here in case of this representation, if I want to access the internet, first of all you need to purchase a modem for that related net. So in case of the internet, that signal first of all will acquire to the modem. Modem will route that connections to your related router. With the help of router, that connection is getting passed to a related share printer, its related share desktop, or the related share devices which are peripheral attached to them. So in the case of this diagram, a modem is acting as a modulation and demodulation of an internet connection. It is taking a connection, it is routing a connection, and it is forwarding that connection to a related peripheral devices. It converts that digital data to the analog data and vice versa. From the cloud, it is taking a digital data, and with the help of routers and itself, it is converting it to the analog signals, which is directly passing to a related laptops, printers, or the related device attached to with the help of modem. Next one is the repeater. A repeater reshapes and amplifies the signal from one network to the another network. That means first of all it will acquire the signal, it checks for the signal, and it recharges the signal, it corrects the signals, and it is again sent back to the related destination signal. So in this case of diagram, you can easily to, with the help of the stations, it will acquire the signal, it will checks for the amplification, it will checks for the errors present in the signals, it will make it resharps and again send it back to a related destination from one network to the another. Next part is the routers. Routers are inter-network connectivity device used to connect two topologically similar or dissimilar LANs. Routers uses algorithm to determine most efficient path for sending a packet to any given network. So if you look here, in this case, a wireless router is provided. This wireless router will text the internet connection, and this internet connection is routed to different related connections. That two connections can be a LAN connections also, or that two connections can be a home connection also. One wireless router can route internet connections to two or more LAN. So if you look here in this kind of representation, my first router is giving access to the guest network, and the second router is giving access to the home network. So one connection is getting and it is passing to the guest network. All the PCs which are present in that guest network can access the internet with the help of this wireless router, and all the PCs which is there in the home network can access the internet with the help of this wireless router. So it is easy to use wireless router for more than two LAN connections. So students, let's revise the content which we have studied in this lecture. The most important content we have studied is the transmission media. So there are two important categories or the classifications of the transmission media. First one we have studied is the bounded media, which is called as twisted pair wires, coaxial cables, or a fiber optic cables. Next classification of transmission media is the unbounded media or a wireless media, which is called as a radio waves, microwave, infrared, or the many more. In case of the bounded media, we have the first pair of wire, which is called as the twisted pair. In case of twisted pair, we can about to see two wires are twisted and used for the transmission. Why we are using a twisted pair? Twisted pair is used to transmit a data in a proper way. Then we have saw a coaxial cable. In case of a coaxial cable, a cable is wounded with a plastic shield, then it is wounded with some foil, then again it is wounded with some bound material, and then inside a foam we have actually a coaxial media, that is the related material present over inside it. Then the last part we have studied is the optical fiber media. In case of the optical fiber media, the material used for sending is a glass material, or it can be used for a reflecting material to transmit a data. So these kind of terms is used to transmit a data in case of a bounded or guided media. The other category is the unbounded media. In this category, the transmission of a message can be of a packet radio, or it can be a wireless media called as microwave, or it can be also through a satellite messages. So these two important categories we have studied. In case of that, the important point to consider here is a twisted pair. In twisted pair, we have two sub-cables. First one is called as a UTP cable and second one is called as the STP cable. In case of first UTP cable, it consists of a number of twisted pairs with plastic jacket, and in case of the STP cable, it is also consists of a number of pairs but a shell, usually aluminium or polyester, between a jacket and a pairs is present. Next point in UTP cable is it is inexpensive and easy to install. But in case of the STP cable, it is expensive than UTP and difficult to install. The third important point in UTP cable is bandwidth capacity is from 1 to 155 Mbps up to 100 meters. But the bandwidth capacity in STP cable is of 500 Mbps up to 100 meters respectively. The fourth important point to consider in UTP cable is it is having more attenuation and sensitivity to EMI. Then in case of the STP cable, it is having less attenuation and EMI is reduced for the shielding. The fifth important point considered with base of UTP cable is it is used in telephone system. So if you are going to prefer a LAN network, we are using a STP cable inside it. And if you are going for a telephone system, we are preferring a UTP cable inside it. If you remember, UTP cable is having no any jacket, special jacket like as aluminium or polyester between them. But in case of the STP, we can able to recognize there is a jacket present between a plastic case and its related shell. So it is important one to consider between the UTP and the STP cables. So the last topic remaining in this networking topology is LAN wireless transmission methods. So what are the LAN wireless transmission methods? There are 4 important methods. Let's study them one by one. The first method is the infrared. In infrared transmissions, infrared rays are used. This is limited within 100 feet. Up to 10 Mbps bandwidth can be supported with the help of this infrared rays. Remote control of the TV uses infrared transmissions. All of you have a remote control at your home. If you see a remote control, it is having some red light situated at the center of the remote. That red light is used to recognize we are using infrared rays. So that is the best example of the infrared light. We'll go for the second one, laser. In laser transmission, laser rays are used. This receiver and transmitters are in a state of sight. This can be used for LAN and WAN transmissions. That means if you are using a local area network or if you are using for a large, that is wide area network transmissions, in that your PCs are situated huge. In that cases, we can use this kind of wireless transmission with the help of laser method. It is transmitting your message from one respected sender to the one respected receiver. So it is useful in that cases. The third wireless method is narrow band radio. In narrow band radio, transmission, a single frequency is used for the related data transmission. The receiver and the transmitter need not to put along a direct line of the sight. The range of the narrow bandwidth is greater than infrared rays. So if we are putting a message, it can be directly placed with the help of this narrow band radio. The transmission is just with the help of a single frequency. That frequency is sent directly through a channel. The fourth important method of a transmission is a microwave. Microwave communications can take 2 forms of transmissions. The first form is the terrestrial link and the second form is the satellite link. In terrestrial microwave, communication, the transmitter and the receivers are earth-based, while in satellite microwave systems, satellite are 22,300 miles above the earth. All of we know the satellite communications. The radar is placed directly, we can send a message from our satellite to the radar, and that radar is directly placing the message to the related sender and the receivers. There is some encryption and decryption techniques are there. But if I want to send a message with the help of microwave, the method can be these two, satellite also, and the methods can be terrestrial also. If we are using terrestrial microwave communications, that sender and receivers are earth-based. That means that message is traveling from the earth-based systems. But if we are considering the satellite microwaves, the message is traveling above the earth. The range is 22,300 miles above the earth. So that is too used to travel some message. So that points are very important one to recognize. So if we are considering the bounded media, the four categories we saw is the coaxial cable, the fiber optic cable or the twisted pair cable. But if we are going for the wireless transmission, that is bounded media, it goes in the four categories are laser, infrared, narrow bandwidth radio and microwave respectively. So students, in this lecture, we have studied the various technologies used in networking. The first point we have discussed in networking is how we can use a network, why we are using the network, what are the characteristics of the network. Then we have started with the three important network topologies. First one we have studied star topology, then we have studied the ring topology, and third one is the bus topology. The various advantages and disadvantages are also we have studied with the help of these three important topologies. The next networking constructions we have did is the LAN, which is called as the local area network. Second networking is MAN, which is metropolitan area network, and third one is the WAN, which is the wide area network. In case of this three network, we have studied how we can communicate a signal from one building to the another building, how we can communicate a signal from one country to the another country or so. The last part of this is the TCP/IP protocol. In case of TCP/IP protocol, we have studied how a protocol is divided into three sections. Its base address, then it is address having some IPs, and it is having some unique identification number that is need to be considered. The last part of this chapter is how we can use the various networking connectivity devices. The connectivity devices can be a modem, the connectivity devices can be a hub, the connectivity devices can be a routers or a repeaters. Routers can be used to route a message, repeaters is used to re-signal and resharps the message, and the hubs is used for the central arrangement or for the central analysis of the data. That is important one to study. So if you study these lectures, it is very much important one to help in your final examinations. So I hope you have got the important points related to the network. Best luck for your future. Thank you.